Hey, what's going on, everyone? Dan Wanis here with the Daily Fantasy Press. I am going to be breaking down Week 9 NFL picks for you, but before we get to that, I want to take a minute and talk about Draft.com. You can sign up using our promo code DFP, deposit a minimum of $10, and you will receive access to our NFL content the rest of the season. So be sure, send us your username and email, and we will get you guys full access to our content the rest of the season. And Draft.com, it's an awesome app. You do snake drafts each week. It's really simple, really quick, and you play for real cash. So be sure to give that a try. The link is down below in the description, and we also have a link on our website. So be sure to check that out. Now, let's get on back to football. And last week, it shows the importance of monitoring weather. And this was the first week we had multiple games impacted by weather. I landed on a lot of Russell Wilson because of that. I just want to avoid a lot of those games in the Northeast with the rain, the wind. And then down in Tampa, they had the high winds. I was on cam. Really liked Desean Jackson in that game as well, but just could not play them in those higher winds. Like I said in the article, anything over 15 to 20 miles per hour is when I start to worry. So just another thing we have to take into consideration, and especially now we're moving into the middle of fall, and we're going to start getting snowfall. Winds in Chicago and Green Bay are very common this time of the year, so it's something else to be aware of. So moving on to Week 9, let's start out here with quarterback. We have Drew Brees at 7,000, and this is a matchup we've been waiting to use for Drew Brees. He is going to be facing 32nd ranked defense in DVOA at the Coors Field of the NFL. The Saints have become more run heavy here in 2017, but Brees' price tag is now reflecting that. Like I said, he's priced at 7,000, and he's coming off a tough matchup against the Bears, and he really, really gets a perfect matchup here against the Bucs. Last week, we saw Ingram had 2 fumbles. I don't know how that's going to impact his usage this week, but Sean Payton has been known to play Mark Ingram less when he is not holding on to the ball. So we may see an uptick with Alvin Kamara. I really like stacking Kamara with Brees. Obviously, you got Michael Thomas you can stack with him. And even Ted Ginn for the big play ability he's got. So I really like Brees at home this week against Tampa. He is just in a perfect position. Moving on to running back, we have Todd Gurley at 8,100. And the New York Giants, they were supposed to be good against a run coming into this season. And it has just not been the case. They've been shredded by a variety of running backs. They rank 24th DVOA against the rush and 27th DVOA against receiving backs. Coming off a bye week, I like targeting Gurley. He's rested up. And even though they're going to travel across the country with that time off, I think they are going to be just fine. So I really like Gurley this week, and he's priced up. We don't have many of those elite running backs on the slate this week, at least Draftkings main slate. So I think Gurley's ownership may stay down just because he's one of the higher priced backs and people aren't used to paying that for him. Next, we have Lamar Miller at 6,200, and Miller's coming off a big game against the Seahawks, posting 22.3 Draftkings points. He had both a receiving and rushing touchdown. This week, the Texans face off against a lowly Colts defense who ranks 21st DVOA versus the rush and dead last against pass-catching backs. I expect the Texans to get out to an early lead here and just feed Miller. I will also point out that last week, Dante Foreman did not see one carry. So we're going to have to monitor this situation, because if Foreman is not getting any run here, I mean, that makes Lamar Miller pretty much the bell cow. So in this matchup, I think, like I said, the Texans are going to have the lead, and he's going to have some opportunities this week. Next, we have Dez Bryant at 6,400. And yes, he's priced down to 6,400. Gets a great matchup versus a weak Chiefs secondary. And especially when Dez is lined up on that left side against Terrence Mitchell, he is going to feast. And Terrence Mitchell, he's one of the worst graded cornerbacks on Pro Football Focus. And I think this game, it's going to stay close throughout, and we get 4 quarters of production and passing from Dak to Dez. And also Ezekiel Elliott, that is another thing to keep an eye on and monitor throughout the week. I'm recording this on Monday night as usual, so there's been no clarity on the situation. All right, moving on to another wide receiver. We have Desean Jackson at 5,500. And like I mentioned at the beginning of this podcast, I really wanted to load up on D-Jax last week, but the high winds in Tampa kept me off him. And this week, he's indoors. He gets matched up against the Saints, in which should be a shootout. The Saints' DVOA rank is solid against the pass. But Desean Jackson, he's going to be avoiding Lattimore, who is probably going to shadow Mike Evans. So D-Jax is going to be spending some of that time in the slot, and he's obviously a deep threat. So we love that about Desean Jackson, and I really like stacking Winston and D-Jax in GPPs this week and mixing in some of those Saints players. Next, we have T.Y. Hilton at 4,900, and it is just crazy to see a player of this ability priced down sub 5,000, and it's a crazy discount we get for T.Y. He's going to be playing indoors at Houston, back on a fast track. We know how well T.Y. Hilton plays on turf. Houston ranks 15th DVOA versus wide receiver ones, and the Colts are, I can pretty much assure you, they're going to be playing from behind in this game. So there's going to be plenty of shots that Jacoby Brissett's going to be taking at T.Y. Hilton. And because of that that play from behind game script that the Colts are going to be in, I don't see how T.Y. Hilton does not hit value here. And he's going to be chalky this week, so just keep that in mind when building your lineups. And then lastly, we got Jimmy Graham at 5,000. And I feel so repetitive putting Jimmy Graham on these each and every week, but his price is not going up. He got 2 touchdowns last week against Houston, and he should have had 2 touchdowns a week before. We know Russell Wilson loves to look Jimmy Graham's way. And this week, the Seahawks faced the Redskins, who ranked 26th DVOA versus the pass. And I don't see any reason not to be playing Jimmy Graham this week. Some of those tight ends, like Zach Ertz, he's in a good matchup. He's priced up. And also something else for tight end news. It sounds like Jordan Reed may miss this week. Delaney Walker also has an injury, so you're going to want to stay up to speed with those injury reports, because there could be some value opening up with Vernon Davis and Jonnu Smith at Tennessee. So just something else to keep in mind. As always, thank you guys for the support. Give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel. And like I said, check out draft.com. Send us your username after you make your first deposit of at least $10 using promo code DFP. and we will get you guys set up with a season-long membership for Daily Fantasy Press. So that is it for this week. I hope you guys enjoy the video. If you have any comments, leave it below. And we will see you guys next week for week 10.